Ojude Oba, an ancient festival celebrated on the third day of Eid-ul-Adha in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, was at long last held after a 2-year hiatus. The 2020 and 2021 editions of the Ojude Oba festivals were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The 2022 edition was the first to hold since then and has been the cause of much excitement for the reunion of people and culture at this beloved festival. But as Arise International Correspondent Adefemi Akinsanya reports, there have been fears the relevance of the gathering may dwindle with future generations of Ijebu people over time as the worsening infrastructure of the town continues.
Carnivals are common, festivals are frequent, but Ojude Oba is extraordinary. It's one of many things that makes a small Ogun State town about 100 kilometers northeast of Lagos so very special. Welcome to Ijebu-Ode. We are stood on Awujale Street, and one of the most identifying features of this street is firstly the royal archways behind me. That signifies that we are on the road where both the palace and the arena is, and the arena is exactly where the Ojude Oba festival will be taking place. Ojude Oba is celebrated on the third day of Eid-ul-Adha and is the finale of the Ijebu-Ode period.
The Muslims went there to thank the Awujale for giving them the land on which they built their first mosque, as well as the land on which they have the Eid celebration. And in appreciation, one of my own progenitors, Balogun Kuku, who happens to be a brother of my own great descendant, Balogun Odunuga, arranged that all the Muslims should go and thank the Awujale for his benevolence.
It's commonly believed that it was at Ojude Oba that the families of the war heroes led by the reigning Balogun and deputies exhibited their equestrian prowess with a colourful display. At the 2022 Ojude Oba festival, there were 21 Eleshi and Balogun families scheduled for an outing. Two of the biggest families are that of Balogun Kuku and Balogun Alatishe. We've tracked down their descendants to find out about their legacy and love of the Ojude Oba festival.
My name is Folarin Kuku. I'm the son of Ologun Kuku, Ologun Soni Kuku, the first of Ijebu. We are part of the Balogun Kuku descendants dynasty. Balogun Kuku was around in the mid to late 1800s and is seen as a very much progenitor of the modern day Ojude Oba festival.
Grandson of the longest reigning Balogun of Ijebuland, Adedoyin Alatishe, is reflecting on his experience preparing for the 2022 Ojude Oba festival.
It takes a whole year to plan. From the moment yesterday's zone ended, we've already started planning. Okay, we did 20 horses this year. Next year, we're planning on going 40. The costume the horses are going to wear, the costume the riders are going to wear, the color of Ankara. Okay, do you need new flags? Do you need new banners? Like, it takes a whole year to plan.
On a personal level, I'm very horsey, so my horses are they're like my children, kind of. They live a better life than me, if some makes sense. But, so my horses are kept outside of Ijebu, so about 3 months before we start prepping them, the feeding changes for them. They get more high energy food, their hooves get done, they get shoes fitted, and then, then the family itself meets and we discuss, what is going to be the order of dress for the riders, what's going to be the order of dress for the family in general, and everyone has their own different unique.
The ripple effect of the COVID-19 pandemic was felt around the world. For 2 years, Ojude Oba, a festival that took place unfailingly for centuries, was cancelled. At the beginning of 2022, as Nigeria continued easing COVID restrictions, there was mounting hope of the return of the beloved festival.
When we got told that Ojude Oba will hold this year, it was like rekindling of the old rivalries. You're talking to people again, you're seeing people's Instagrams, the rivalry is coming, the competitiveness is coming in, and it's like before a big football match, everyone's really geared in.
A few days ago, I couldn't even walk, and a few days ago I started walking and I got back on the horse and I was very confident. And so because of COVID, because of my health, and the fact that, after 2 years break, we're still here, we're still doing what we love. 2022 Ojude Oba is the most special.
In the UK, they didn't do a troupe for, I think, a year. And the troupe they did during COVID was greatly reduced, and it was very fixing. The fact that we here, who are meant to be the ones who suffered the most from COVID, economically, socially, the way our culture is, we're very close, everything touchy, things like COVID and Ebola hit us hard. For us to come out in such force just shows that whatever you thought was going on here, we make the rules here. So it was a lot for us on those two levels to have Ojude Oba back in our lives.
I think this year was very special because a few weeks ago, I fell sick, and I came back, and the first time I stepped into the compound, you could see the whole neighborhood. Some were even in tears. They were like, "Yo, the crowd controller won't be participating this year," and I was worried. My mom was worried. Everyone was worried. Even my office people were like, yo. Because they know how special it is. And I was praying, I was like, God, see, even if you're gonna make me sick after, you have to make me ready for this day. I've been looking forward to this day since 2019. I've been rearing and feeding my horses since 2019.
And so the day arrived. Monday, the 11th of July, 2022, Ojude Oba at long last. From as early as 6 a.m., music on the grounds had started, and members of each Egbe group started arriving at the arena. Soon after that, more prominent figures started arriving. The chief imam of Ijebu-Land, the state governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, who took a tour of the pavilion, greeting members of different groups on his way. He finds his own age group, Egbe Bobagunte, and joins them in dance. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was not far behind in his arrival. Founder of First City Monument Bank, Otumba Shubomi Balogun, arrived and made his way up the stairs. Ojude Oba is a distinctively colourful festival. Taking credit for that vibrancy are the Regbe, groups categorized by their ages who dress in unison and are among the first arrivals at the festival. Age groups compete for the best dressed, and it's fierce. For months, the fabrics and materials will be kept a secret so that rival groups won't have the opportunity to copy or sabotage. Egbe Bobagunte Oburu is a group of women who were born in 1959, 1960 and 1961. Their leader, or Ijebu-Ode, is Akorede Faustat Alatishe, who is also the Iyalaje of Ijebu-Land. Though the group wore a traditional uniform of a light brown or sonyo ashoke to the festival, the day after, at their annual party hosted by their Bagba Egbe, seen here in white, they chose to launch their predominantly green uniform.
Normally, the Ojude Oba festival has been since our forefathers. Glo has now uplifted the Ojude Oba into a modern ways that tó jẹ́ pé ẹgbẹ́ tó bá ṣe dáadáa wọ́n máa fún tó gbégbá orókè tó múra dáadáa so wọ́n máa ń fún wa ní ẹ̀bùn. Àwọn ẹgbẹ́ mi gan wọ́n máa pe tailor sínú ilé kó rán aṣọ wọn so that àwọn ẹgbẹ́ mi wọn ò ní lè rí kọ́lọ̀ aṣọ wọn. So a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ bàbá wa Àwùjalẹ̀ Ọba Dr. Sikiru Kayode Adétọ̀nà the Awujale and the paramount ruler of Ijebu land. So àwọn náà tún wá gbé rẹ́gbẹ́rẹ́gbẹ́ yẹn kan tún wá gbé òkè Ìjẹ̀bú-Ode oníkálukú dédé àwọn ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú àtàwọn ọmọ èèmṣọ́ ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú gan wọ́n máa ń wálé láti wá máa wò ojúde ọba ẹni yẹn.
Back at the stadium, the beat of the multiple drums began competing with the thunderous downpour of rain. This year's festival falls in the heart of Nigeria's rainy season. It rained on their parade, but it didn't stop the party.
We step out 11 a.m. every day, every Ojude Oba day. And we get back around maybe 4 or 5. Regardless, rain, we defy any weather, any conditions.
When we were outside of the stadium itself, there must have been about between 10 and 15 families in that stretch of road, and we were hemmed in. As in, my horse couldn't move. We were hemmed in for about 2.5 hours, and it rained. At no one point was there a dull in gunfire. We fire guns with no bullets. It's just a bang. It's like firecrackers. There was no stop in the drums or the music. There was no stop in dancing. For those 2.5 hours, it was like the carnival was just condensed into that 200-meter stretch of road. And then when they opened the gates and let us in, well, I think you saw what happened after that. Everyone's been looking forward to this one day, the whole year. Bigger than Christmas, bigger than it's that one focus. That when you've been building up for something for 1 year, better rain ain't gonna help you, ain't gonna stop you. And we all make jokes about traditional religions as Ologun's losing his power because he hasn't called to his rainmakers today. And he goes, no, I told him to rain more. So we will show who's here.
Over the years, infrastructure has struggled to keep up with the massive growth of the festival. For decades upon decades, the Ojude Oba festival comfortably took place within the confines of the Awujale's palace just behind me here. But with the growing number of participants and observers, it started getting impractical, which is exactly why this arena was built, which also hosts the Ijebu National Museum. And now it allows for far more people to comfortably enjoy the Ojude Oba festival.
Ojude Oba is a carnival. And then for the Balogun to the outsiders also to come in, it became so rowdy. And Kabiyesi House to now seek extension by taking over the land, the government land in front. This is question for the government to hand over the land to us. And he handed land to the palace. And the palace now has to be constructed. And we constructed the Ojude Oba arena there. And we call it Oba pavilion.
Despite the beauty of Ojude Oba festival, it's set against the backdrop of a town that has simply stopped developing. Basic infrastructure, roads and housing are in dire straits.
It's unfortunate. If I criticize the government of Ogun State, I'll be criticizing the whole country, the governments in this country. There is lethargy. Patriotism is lacking. Quite a lot of politicians go there to make money. We're all struggling to refocus people. And in the midst of it, we have the implacable politicians who just want the job and not doing anything.
All the roads are government roads. We have state government roads. We have federal government roads. And you can't just jump on any road without seeking approval from the rightful owner, which is the government. So the state government they are doing their best. Particularly during the rainy season like this, many roads get spoiled. And after the rainy season, the government comes in and do partial repair of the roads. But from the way things are going now, the governments are trying to take care of the roads, and the infrastructure is getting better. It was some couple of years ago, but within the period of some years now, it's getting better. I know with time, we reach where we are going. We're not yet there, I know. We're not there. And those of you coming from behind, I know you when you come in, as you are growing up, you will see what you can do to help to develop the community. I know that we are trying our best. Our best may not be the best for the youth, but the youth also may have to wake up and also support the government in achieving what we need to achieve.
It's not a lost hope. I still believe that Nigeria will be great. It may not be this generation. Because if you know the number of Nigerians who have distinguished themselves in the US, in Britain, in many of the developed countries, you'll be amazed. The universities are festooned by outstanding Nigerians. There are distinguished scholars who are internationally acknowledged. So let us be praying for our country, that the good Lord will pick for us the right leaders, and that tomorrow will be better than what we are now.
What we have in mind is how we can really uplift Ijebu land and Ijebu-Ode in particular. And in doing that, we have to wake up. Every year we come around to the pavilion to celebrate what we have achieved for the year. We need to start doing projects, each Egbe, which we are doing anyway, because I remember their own Egbe, they did some projects. If my own Egbe of Ijebu land, those are the one 947, 48, 49. We did some projects also for Ijebu-Ode here. And then each Egbe have to do. They have to do projects for the community and to see how they can develop the community.
Despite Ojude Oba's obvious longevity, the money, time and dedication required to keep the festival going takes a toll.
It's a generational thing because I feel that it's such a big thing for my father and his generation, and he's always instilled in us a sense of home, of belonging, especially when you're abroad in someone else's country growing up and figuring out where you are in the world. It's always good to have that, so where you come home and everyone knows your name, they know your mother, they know your father, they know your uncle, they can tell you 25 cousins, they can tell you how they themselves are related to you. They'll point to that, oh, that person's wife is cuckoo. Do you know? All this kind of thing. So, it's very much a core memory for me. I have been since I was 7 years old.
2015 was when I bought my first house with my own money. I was still in uni then. And from there, from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, I would be the proudest dad on earth. If I can have my future kids, future spouse, support me, because they know you can't take this away from me. Nothing can take this away from me. I hope to keep riding till 80, 90, till God says, nah, it's time to stop.
My love of horses started from Ojude Oba. When my dad got the title of Olorogun, I think in 88 or 89, he's like, we're going to learn to ride horses. And I'm like, okay. And I must have been about 6 or 7 at the time. And we learned to ride at Lagos Polo Club. So ever since then, I now play polo as often as I can. Horses are a big part of my life, my personalities.
And it's that love that turns skeptics into believers. Despite a pandemic, economic constraints and the sheer overwhelming nature of Ojude Oba, it gets the people going. Over and over. Proudly historic, proudly Ijebu. Adefemi Akinsanya, Arise News, Ijebu-Ode.
Adefemi, another brilliant report, as always. I mean, that was phenomenal. What can I say? My favorite part, as you know, is the fashion aspect of it. All the ladies with the, different attires and, their looks. And of course, your mother.
Oh, yes.
Your regal mother. She was so beautiful in her. What was the Africa? Boba Gunte.
That's the name of the group.
Oba
yes.
Gunte.
Well done, Oji.
I did it right.
Very, very well.
And it's Ojude Oba.
Ojude Oba.
Ojude
We'll
Oba.
get there.
I'm learning. Ojude Oba. I know Ojodu.
It is not Ojude Bega.
Yeah, I think that's what it's doing.
It is not Ojude Bega, and it is not Ojude Eba.
It
is Ojude Oba.
I love
the king's front court.
The king's front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant,
Thank
presentation. A proud Ijebu girl.
Yes,
behind it all. I've attended Ojude Oba a couple of times in the past. Somehow it always rains, like showers of blessings and everything. But what I see, which, demonstrably shown here, is the fact that as a festival, is the horse riders show. But as a carnival, is the Regbe show, the fashion part the procession. And do you belong to any Regbe, by the way?
Not yet. I'm still a bit young.
So you have to be 40?
How old?
Not so much 40. I think around, it just depends on whether or not you can organize a group of women, again, within the same 3-year period you'd all have to be born with. And then you make an application to the Awujale and you say that this is what we want, this is what we want to be called. He gives your blessing and then you can start. But it's actually quite difficult to rally a group of people, make sure that every week, every month for 1 week, they attend their meetings and then they start to organize for Ojude Oba. It takes a lot, but by God's grace, very soon we'll be joining our own Egbe. I don't know.
What was interesting was the fact that you said that the fabrics are all made from scratch.
Yes.
I mean, how is that process really?
So it's about making sure that another Egbe doesn't outdo you because it's a competition. There's a lot of money to be won.
There are prizes,
Yeah, there are prizes. 500,000, I think 250, and 100,000 for first, second, and third place. So it's a lot of competition. So you have people whose job it is to design your outfit for that year. And it could be a situation where you choose a sequence of colors and a rival group will use those same colors the day before Ojude Oba for just another party. And it's completely, in your idea, washed out the element of surprise for your own. So everything is kept under wraps until you get to Ojude Oba. That's when you'll see what everybody's wearing.
That is so interesting.
Part of the beauty for me is that even though it wears a kind of Islamic toga, the festival, but then it also shows how accommodating and liberal, the Ijebus are. So you don't see religion on it, in it. You see togetherness, you see culture, and it's probably the biggest festival as far as the role of the palace is involved.
Absolutely.
Compared to Eyo in Lagos, it doesn't happen until there's a necessity for it, and it's not necessarily directly tied to the palace. If you take, what's the one in Oshogbo?
Gosh. And
the Oshun-Oshogbo festival.
Yes.
It's also not totally Oshun-Oshogbo tied to the palace. But then for Ojude Oba, it's about the king, it's about royalty. It's about taking the blessings, from our
and showing gratitude.
And showing gratitude, So every year, after 2 years of COVID, it's good to see this back. And I also commend the fact that I think in the last 20 years, FCMB has been part of the sponsorship and Glow to some extent.
Yes, absolutely too.
That is also
and both of them owned by
support
people from Ijebu-Ode
for the arts, for culture, for tourism.
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'll take you home with me next time.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Okay.